This is my really cheap 2002 Subaru Impreza WRX, and in this video we're going to go over everything that's currently wrong with it before we start fixing it up. First and second, the headlights are very cracked up. They're not just foggy, they're pretty cracked. I don't think that's fixable. And there's this weird STI replacement thing for the side marker. I guess it was supposed to be reflective or something, or good looking at some point, but it isn't now. All right, it started raining, so we're back inside. I hope you really like that sweet intro going outside, but we'll keep doing the video in here. So, next thing, the paint. Now, this is a real Cybin carbon fiber hood, as far as I know. And the paint is in mostly good condition, but this car was repainted from the factory black to this like candy apple red. I think it's gonna look really nice, but it's gonna need a good polish because the hood definitely needs a little bit of help. And then up here, if you can see that one little area right there, that's just a little bit dull. Not sure what's up with that yet. So that fancy carbon fiber hood comes with what is probably, in my opinion, the ugliest hood scoop I've ever seen. So I'd like to replace that with probably a factory one, which means I'll have to get it paint matched to the current car color. This isn't technically wrong, but that's not the USDM Subaru logo. That is a JDM logo, and I'm not sure if I'm going to keep that or not. This front grille piece is messed up. This is a common thing with a lot of Subarus, but this trim piece back here on the rear door is shiny now because the black paint has worn off. On the back window here, we have a bunch of these old stickers that are in pretty bad shape, and I don't care about any of the things that are on them, so I don't want them on the window. You can also see that the tint is in really bad condition. As you've seen in previous videos, it makes it pretty much impossible to see behind you when you're driving unless you use the mirrors. On the passenger side, by the rear right wheel, that trim piece is a little bit loose. So I think that's probably a pretty easy fix, but that's something that needs to be done. And that's really all there is on the body, on the outside. Like, body's not bad. But next, let's go into the engine bay. Up first, I guess this is technically still the body, but these covers over these hood vents are loose on both sides. That side's not too bad. This side is so loose that I'm sure it's not really protecting the car from anything. Most cars have a battery tie down there. This car doesn't. While not completely worn out, these top hats have very noticeable wear on them, and they're starting to dry rot and crack. The coolant reservoir tank has oxidized to the point where it's opaque and it's hard to tell how much coolant's in it, and I'm worried that it may start to be structurally compromised. That's where the hood prop is supposed to clip into, but the clip has broken off. Somebody, in their infinite wisdom, did not put a heat shield back on top of the turbo when they installed the turbo back exhaust on it. So you can see it's a nice Cobb turbo back exhaust, but you can see that because there's no heat shield and now there's a bunch of surface rust. It doesn't appear to be serious. I think it's something I can clean off, but it's kind of frustrating because it doesn't look very good, and I'm sure it's not good for it. Anybody who knows anything about modifying Subarus knows you're not supposed to put on an intake or an exhaust or pretty much any other aftermarket part that touches the engine without getting a tune. This car is on the stock tune, and I have no idea what type of intake this is. I don't know if this is even like a brand name intake or it's just something someone put together, because you can see like the quality of those hoses and those clamps. Like, I think it's a 50-50 shot that somebody may have just like put this together out of Advanced Auto Parts, but I'm gonna take it apart and see if I can figure out what it is. If this looks just like an aftermarket intake that you're familiar with, let me know, but to me this looks like a parts bin special. Also, we already went over it in the first video, but the mass airflow sensor needs to be replaced because it's dirty, and apparently on these cars, they just kind of wear out after a while and don't read that accurately. So at least the timing belt was done at some point, and it looks like it was a Gates kit, so both of those things are good, but I don't know when, because it wore off, and you can't tell. Now, it's 164,000 miles, so let's assume they did it between 80 and 100, and I'm probably still good for a bit, but that's something I should probably plan on replacing in the next 10 to 20,000 miles. The windshield washers are hooked up, but they don't appear to work. We'll get a lot closer once I do a video actually going through the suspension to figure out what's wrong with it, but the struts and springs appear to be blown. I'm putting a picture on screen of I took a picture when I was swapping the wheels when I got the car. If anybody recognizes exactly what type of struts and springs these are, that would be awesome if you could let me know. From the little bit of research I've done so far, my guess is that they're JDM WRX or JDM STI struts and springs. But the struts are completely blown. All right, we're getting into the interior now where things start to really get interesting. So first up, here's just some glamour shots of how filthy this interior is. Something that you can't really tell from the video, but the inside of the windshield is greased up, which means when you're driving at night or when it's cold or anything else, it doesn't look good. It looks like it's permanently fogged and there's nothing you can do about it. Of course, on the outside, that's not helped by the fact that you can't clean it off, but the inside looks like it has a bunch of grease, sweat, oil, I don't know what, just caked up. This is some sort of STI shifter surround. And this isn't an STI. I'm not sure exactly how tall a stock WRX shifter is supposed to be fair, but that looks weirdly short and I don't really like it. Moving on. All right, pay attention because this one's kind of hard to explain. So this apparently is an auto-dimming rear mirror, except it doesn't dim anymore. It doesn't dim anymore because someone glued another mirror on top of the car's mirror, and I don't know why. This is probably the biggest thing interior-wise. A gallon of paint was spilled in the back. So it's in the carpet and on the floor mat and on this plastic trim piece. Now, previous owner ordered a replacement plastic trim piece and it looks pretty good. So that part is probably fixable. The rest of it is going to be pretty difficult. And of course, while we're back here, obligatory dirt and grime everywhere. More dirt in the trunk, but no spare tire. Now, a lot of this probably doesn't seem like that big of a deal, and it isn't. It's stuff I can all fix and take care of, and it probably won't be, that much of a problem. It's just right now the car is in the condition where I don't really want to drive it or try to enjoy it because all of those little things just make it aggravating. And that's not even getting into, I'm sure, plenty of other things I'll have to do, like replace a bunch of fluids and do reliability mods and some power mods, and it's going to be a bit of a long road, but that's okay. Autocross doesn't start for a couple months, so I'm going to chronicle everything I can and take you through it. And I'm really excited to do all these things. So I'm not saying this to complain. I'm not saying this to, this video isn't to make fun of the previous owner or anything, because actually the previous owner was a friend of the family. Now the owner before them, I blame for a lot of the mod issues because they did all those. The previous owner, I don't blame them. They just used this as a get around town car. It wasn't anything that special. They liked it. It was a fun car, but this wasn't like their pride and joy. They have very nice cars and they take very good care of their cars, and this was like their beater for a while, and that's okay. But now that I have it, of course, this is a little bit of a beater for me compared to like the GTI, but I do want to fix it up and get it clean enough that I like driving it and using it as a normal daily driver sometimes. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And I want to get a bunch of reliability and supporting mods in there so I can be comfortable thrashing it at autocross and eventually, hopefully, maybe this year, take it to a track. So follow along, I'll take you through everything, and we're gonna make Cherry Bomb like a dozen times better than it is right now. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.